special guest tonight. I'm so excited, y'all. Stephanie is our special guest tonight. So it's crazy. If you guys don't know, Stephanie actually went emerald, validated her emerald, and she just went diamond last month. And she is in the process of validating her diamond as she moves forward. So congratulations, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you.
So I am going to have you share your story because there's a lot of people on here who don't necessarily know your story. So tell us who you are, where you're from, how you came to it back, it works, and the courage to relaunch, all that jazz, and kind of how your business has taken off because you've only been back, 6 months. So go ahead and share your story with everybody.
So I'm Stephanie Johnson. I am 40 years old. I'm a grandmother. I have 3 children. My oldest is 21. My middle son just turned 17, and my baby is 8. I am originally from Rochester, New York, born and raised, but I left for 21 years and came back about to be 3 years this summer. I came back. I relocated back to New York. I was in Virginia for about 14 years. I worked full time for a company that I was with for 21 years. This is my second time back, but it's funny because I was thinking about it today because I figured that this question would come up about like just my journey. And when I think about coming back, I don't feel like I came back because nothing is the same as it was before, right? Like, so when I was in before. So yes, I did relaunch my business. I was a distributor back in 2017. I was a part of a booming team then as well, had success in a way, but I don't like to credit it to my own success. I think I got blessed at the time with, like people that were placed in my downline. But I promoted to diamond. And it's funny because the first time that I promoted to diamond was 2018. And the day I promoted to diamond was the day that I quit my job. And so I was very, very unsatisfied with my full-time employer at the time. I just wasn't happy. Like, I knew I was meant for more. And when I went diamond, y'all, I thought I made it. I was like, oh yes, I made it, baby. I'm about to be banking. And it came so quick at the time that I rolled that. Like, I was like, yep, I'm gonna quit my job. Like they wanted me to take a new job. I was like, no, I quit. It's all good. I'm gonna be a full-time rap girl. And I just knew then that, yes, I had arrived, right? Well, I stopped working. I stopped doing the thing that got me where I was, and I lost my diamond. My whole team fell apart. I was there during the $9.99 boom, and I call it the curse of the $9.99 because I was fully charted triple. I just knew I was listening, y'all. I was about to be balling. Okay. But I didn't do the work. Like I really didn't do the work. I had the people in the boxes and I just banked on everybody in the boxes doing what they needed to do in order for me to promote, right? And so I got frustrated with my team instead of being frustrated with myself, which I should have been frustrated with myself. But I was frustrated with my team. And it was like, at the time, like, it's not your team, it's you. Like, you're not doing a thing. Like, you're sitting at home and you're scrolling on Facebook and you're not working on Facebook, but this is supposed to be your full-time job. Well, I found another opportunity that it was easier for me to work. It was easier for me to sell, and I left. I quit my business. And I left before the mass exodus. So any of you that were around, I left before that, like shortly before that. And I joined a business that I thought like, okay, yes, I love this. It's fun. It's girly. But it required me to carry inventory. I worked that business, had success in the business for about 2 years. But I still love the products. I always followed Rachel. I followed Rachel. I followed her when I was a distributor. I was just touched by her story. I remember watching her build her house. I remember her saying like, this is the house that Raps built. Like, I remember that hashtag, right? Like, I remember that hashtag. And so I always followed her. She wasn't one, like, and I don't know. I just felt like it was a connection. Like, I don't know. Like, cause again, I am a few years her senior, but it was just this connection that I had with her story. So definitely keep telling your story, like tell your story. If you're not telling your story, people are watching, and I watched her. So I decided to become a loyal customer again. I still had products that I liked. Skinny Brew launched, Starbucks closed during COVID, and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I want to order coffee. And let me tell you, this is how, when you connect with somebody, you connect with somebody and it doesn't matter. I had a loyal customer account. With that. I was qualified. Like, I could just go in and order what I wanted to order. But the connection that I felt with Rachel, I remember messaging her like, hey, I want to get the pick 2, pick 3 deal. And can I just transfer my loyal customer account to you? And Rachel kindly and politely told me, no, you would have to create a new account. And I was like, okay, no problem. Send me your link. She sent me the shopping cart and I created a new account and I started all over again. And I was okay with that because the connection was there, because I connected with her story. And I just started purchasing again. Like, I started purchasing, I was using the products. This was around March of last year. And I was a loyal customer, and that was it. Like, that's all I wanted to be. But I was committed to buying. Like, I was committed to, because I was just committed to my own. I needed coffee. Like, at the end of the day, I needed coffee. They said that this coffee works magic. Let me see, because I love Starbucks, and Starbucks is not being good to my waist, right? Like, so and it's not being good to my pockets. Like, how about that? And so in the summer of last year, so last summer, my birthday, it was the week of my birthday. Again, I had this other business. I was not thinking about being a distributor again. Like, I really wasn't. I just was committed to being a loyal customer. My business was taken away from me for what they stated was a violation of compliance policies on a Facebook page that I didn't even use. And they canceled me. Like, no question, no investigation, no nothing. Like, I was just canceled. Like, this was in July. I was canceled. And I'll be honest, I was devastated because I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. But what I will say is, after sitting still and just kind of listening to, just going into like prayer and meditation and just listening to God, and I just knew that probably wasn't the business for me. I was investing more than I was making. But I felt like I made it because I was climbing the ranks, but my bank account wasn't showing it because I was purchasing more than what I was selling at the time. And so every time I would get a commission check, I was like literally spending that on inventory. So when I sat still, I said, I'm not going to do anything yet. I'm not going to do anything in haste. Let me just sit still and see where is this? Where am I supposed to go? Like, what is supposed to happen? Like, this was something, it was devastating. I had made the decision to send my son to private school. And when I made the decision to send my son to private school, it was on the strength of having that additional source of income. So what I wasn't going to do was tell my son that he couldn't go to private school anymore. So it was like, okay, you're going to have to figure it out. Like, you have to do something. Like, you have to do something different. What is it going to be? And so I was still never even like becoming a distributor again, never even crossed my mind. Like, I never even thought about it. Like, because I just knew what it was like when I was a distributor in the past. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that again. Like, I don't want to do that again. But for whatever reason, it kept pulling on it just kept pulling on my heartstrings. And so I'll never forget September 1st. I just happened to be scrolling on Facebook. And I saw you can become a distributor for the next 24 hours for $24. And I thought about it and I messaged Rachel. She messaged me back. And I'm like, hey, girl, send me your link. I think I'm going to join your team. She messaged me back. So then, I got in my feelings a little bit. I was like, wait a minute. Hold up. I messaged her and told her I wanted to join her team. Don't she know who I am? Why she ain't answering me? Why she not responding? Right. So I looked and I'm like, I haven't seen her on Facebook all day. Okay, she ain't been on. I happened to see the video from the night before, which was August the 31st. And I was like, let me go watch this video that she put, and found out that she was off for a month. And I was like, okay, well, figure it out. I just logged into my loyal customer account, upgraded to a distributor, and was like, all right, now what? Right? Like, now what? What do I do? Luckily, I kind of knew, like, okay, somehow I found the Road to VIP page. Like, I found that page, and I joined that page, and I just started doing the challenges that they had in there. Signed my first 6 loyal customers in that first 30-day period. And when she came back and she posted on October 1st, I was like, hey girl, I'm on your team. And I got my shopping spree. Right? Like, because it was just like, I just did it. Like, I just did it. I wasn't connected to the team at all. I didn't have, I had an upline, but my upline was on her Sabbath, and on her Sabbath for real. Right? Like, so I just did it. It was like, all right, I know how to read. So I read, right? Like, on her sabbatical. Yes, on her sabbatical. I know how to read. So read and figure it out. And I just figured it out. And I didn't do it the way I did it before. It was like, no, they don't work the business the same anymore. And so she came back in October. It was like, okay, now we need to get you to Ruby. Right. And it was just going. I just went. Like, I just went. I didn't make an excuse. I just went because I had a reason and I had a purpose. And I knew that I needed to replace income that was lost. I knew that I had goals, and I just listened, right? Like, I read and I listened and I figured it out. I double promoted on a month that I had COVID, which was in November. During Thanksgiving, I double promoted from executive to Ruby. And it's funny because I'm like, it was that time that I think I was still for 2 weeks that I'm isolated in a room by myself, but my fingers still work. Like, I'm sitting in my bed and I'm working, and it was like, I didn't have to clock into my full-time job. So I really literally used that time that I had and didn't use it as an excuse. It was like, no, like, okay, you have a goal. Like, you should have hit Ruby last month. Like, you need to make it happen this month. Like, just do it. And it's just been that. Like, I reloaded Ruby. No, actually, I'll be honest. Let me tell you, I double promoted in November. Let's be honest. In December, I ain't worked. I didn't work. I didn't work like I worked in November. I didn't work. I kind of chilled a little bit. Like, I can sit back a little bit. And guess what? I ended the month in December as an executive because I had a third leg that was qualified. I ended as an executive, and I said, that will never happen to me again. I'm never going to allow that to happen to me again. January, I got that Ruby back in February. Was it February? February, promoted to Emerald. In March, reloaded Emerald and promoted to Diamond. And it's just, but I just knew that it was that moment of, oh, you relax, like you sat still and you didn't do the things that you did to get there before. You've been down this road. Don't do it again. Like, do not do it again. And so it's just being committed to the process, right? Like, in that self-awareness and self-evaluation, for me.
It's so good. I'm so glad you touched on the COVID stuff. This is good. This is great. Like, your story within itself is like a whole training. Because listen, like, it's real, and it's the honesty. It's just being willing to really take people on a journey and a process, because everybody has a process, and it's not all strawberries and cream. Y'all remember that candy from back in the day?
Oh, and I had surgery last month.
Oh, yeah, you didn't
Emergency
even
surgery.
talk about that. Yeah, you didn't even talk about that. So
No.
yeah, go
Mhm.
ahead. So
Yeah. So I had on St. Patrick's Day. So I was having pains in my side on St. and that Tuesday before. So 16th, I went to the emergency room. My husband was out of town for whatever reason. When things happen, he always out of town. I don't know how that happened. But my husband was out of town and he was like, well, you should probably, instead of going to urgent care, you should go to the emergency room just in case they need to do any kind of x-ray, CT, whatever. So I went, but it's funny, y'all, I was in the emergency room still on training, right? Like still on training, like, oh, it's a training night. Let me sit here, lay up in this bed because I'm waiting for them. Come to find out I had appendicitis. And they were like, okay, yep, we need to remove your appendix. I was like, okay, tonight? It was like, yeah, we'll probably do it in the morning. I had surgery on like in the middle of the month, right? Like it's the middle of the month. Like now it's time to go. And it's like, here I go again. I have surgery and I text Rachel and I said, it must be like things must just need to happen like crazy in my life in order for me to get a promotion.
it's so crazy, but you were so committed. And so I guess you can just go into a segue of this. Like help us understand the mindset of someone who pushes through adversity and does not back down, because it's who you are. And I try to explain this to people all the time, but maybe you can help them. Like it's a part of your character. And I realized that from jump. Like when the COVID stuff happened, well, actually, it was coming back and you had your shopping spree. Like it was the already enrolled to VIP. It was, I don't need these resources. I want to be successful. So I'm gonna find some resources, it's the hunger. And so despite COVID, it was like, bro, like I got COVID, like I'm in this room, I ain't dying, like let me go ahead and get this money, right? Or even with the appendicitis, it's like, man, this diamond bonus is still on the table, like I'm committed to this. So talk about pushing the I don't know if you could even give advice about being someone who pushes through adversity.
I think it's the why, right? Like I have a vision of seeing myself in a place that I'm not there yet, right? Like I'm not there yet. And if I don't do it today, my tomorrow will look just like it does today, right? Like, so why? I guess I would say it's the adversity that should make you push harder, right? Like, and even when I think about COVID, and when I think about like surgery, and I think about the fact that I had to call my job, I had to tell them I was taking off, I had to not really wonder about whether or not I was going to get paid because thankfully I have decent like benefits and stuff like that and coverage, and my company is like is good, but it's like, how much easier would this be if I was my own boss and I didn't have to answer to anybody and I didn't have to worry about who was going to allow me to take time off. So having that vision to say, no, I don't want to be in the place that I am today a year from now. But if I don't do something different today, I'm going to be in the same place. If I don't figure it out and make it happen, I'm going to be in this same space. And so it's when you talk about dreaming, like I don't dream, I visualize, right? Like I visualize. I'm the person that's like, okay, we're going to buy a house. Let's go drive around the neighborhoods that we want to live in and let's picture ourselves being in this house. Well, guess what? My full-time job is not going to get me there. My full-time job is not going to give me a $900 increase in a month. They're not going to do it. Like, I know that they're not going to do it. So it's that willingness to push past that adversity, because my why for me, when they like they say, your why needs to make you cry. Like it does. When I see like where I see my family and the things that I want to do for my family, I know that this business can get me there, but it's not going to do it if I'm not willing to sacrifice and do the work. And I make sacrifices. I don't watch TV during the week at all. The only time I ever watch TV is on my Sabbath. That's it. I catch up on my TV shows. And that's kind of my me time. But those are sacrifices that I will tell you I did not make the first time around. It was like, it's Thursday night. I'm about to sit and watch Grey's and Scandal and everything else. I don't got time to work. Like, no, like, and it's so like for me, it's just different. But it also comes down to being committed to that personal development. Like, and my mindset is different. And knowing that I was the problem last time. It wasn't the business and it wasn't my team.
Well, let's talk about the personal development, because that was even, like, okay, let me really get into this.
Mm-hmm. I'm a strong. I'm the person that will. I start 50,000 books and don't finish them. I do. I will. Like, I will. And it was like, no, girl, you need to finish this book. And I'll be honest, I listen to my enroller. I listen to my enroller. And so it's like, okay, well, if you can't read the book, listen to the book. I sit here in front of a computer all day long. I have an Alexa. I can put a book on Audible. And so I will just, instead of listening to music, I'll listen to a book and utilize that empty space. I remember when I was out, and again, I'll tell you, when I first started the business 6 months ago, I was still watching TV. I would say, yeah, I'm doing laundry, I'm watching TV. And I remember Rachel telling me, like, well, that's when I would listen to a sermon, or that's when I would listen to, like a book. Like, I use that time to listen to this. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let me listen to something different while I'm doing laundry, right? Like, and I'm folding clothes and I'm just sitting there. So instead of watching TV, let me change my mindset. Because again, and I think I might have talked about this on Monday meetup. It's about really feeding yourself, right? Like, and it's filling your cup. Like, I need to be able to fill my customers' cups. I need to be able to fill my distributors' cups, but I can't do it if mine is empty. So that was what it was. It's being willing and being ready to, if I'm asking for advice, implementing the advice that I'm giving, whether I feel like it's comfortable for me or not. And sometimes it's about getting uncomfortable, and getting uncomfortable. And that was what I was willing to do.
That's so good. So we're going to get into, I know I'm going to let you guide this, but when it comes to truly being transparent, maybe not even with the world, right? So you might not even be in a place where you need to share your true why with the world. You just give them glimpses and pieces. But when I truly believe, when it comes to you digging down and truly going after something, you have to be honest with someone. And so even you just opening up about your true why. And what happens is certain people, I could even say myself, if I wasn't really committed to just being my best self, like being embarrassed or being in a place where I'm not sharing that, like that ain't none of their business, but truly wanting to change your life. So it's like, if this is the person that's going to help me get out of this situation, I'm going to give it to them all so that she can truly give me the insights and really push me, right? Because then I know your why. Like, your why is not small. Like, it's not small at all. And so, fortunately, I don't really have to remind you of it, but I know what you are going after. And so let's talk about truly getting to the honest why. And I don't know, it might just be maturity. It might just be like, I ain't got time to be playing with nobody. I don't know, but help those who are on here who have a superficial why, help us dig deeper to truly be honest about the real why and your real current situation, and how most people don't want to be there anymore, but they might not necessarily be honest about the fact that they're not comfortable. Their comfortable is not really that comfortable.
Right. So for what I will say is this: if your why is superficial, it will make it very easy for you to quit, because this business is hard. So if you haven't really been honest with yourself, so just kind of, I said, I moved back to New York. Let's just say, okay, I quit my job prematurely. I should not have quit my job. And I lived if anybody is familiar with the DMV area, the DC, the Metro DC area, then like you really need to, you got to be bringing in some income to really live there. And so we struggle a lot, like financially there. And it just so happened that like my mom was getting ready to have some surgery. She had been in a car accident, and they wanted to operate on her neck. They wanted to operate on her back. I wasn't working at the time. And my husband and I were talking, like we were drowning there. And it was like, okay, I can either try to find a job here or we can relocate back home, which is not a place that we wanted to be. We don't want to live where we are. Like, and that's just being completely honest and completely transparent. We don't want to live in New York. None of us like the winter. And I'm living in my mother's house, right? Like, and I literally moved my entire family into my mom's house. And one, it was for support. And then it was like, okay, let's climb out of this hole that we put ourselves in, and get ourselves in a position so when it's time, we're truly ready to go. So one of the things that we knew when we were relocating back, we were moving back when my son was starting high school. And it was like, okay, well, if we make this move, we're here for 4 years. Because what we can't do is bounce him around in high school. And if you have a high school student, if you have a high school student that's an elite athlete, you know how detrimental that can be to their recruitment process, because they're always having to try out for a position on a team because nobody knows them. And so we did that to him, where he was born and raised in Virginia, and we moved him here his freshman year. So like we're in a position where it's like, okay, it was almost like sink or swim. And so we made the decision. We came here, helped to support my mom. And thank goodness she has a house that is big enough to, like hold us, but it's not mine. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not mine. But I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to move out of my mother's house to pay rent. My credit score was not great because again, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul. And you maxing out credit cards and like, all right, well, this goes to collection. And it was like we came here and it was just straight focus. Like, all right, we have to get focused to get ourselves in a different position. And I found a job. But again, my job, I'll be out, and I share this with Rachel, my commissions last month, my job only paid me about $800 more a month than what my commissions did in the 6 months that I've been in this business. So to see that, and to know that they're never going to pay me my worth, because my work ethic writes my paycheck here. And to know that the work that I put in, I actually am going to be paid for. And to know that I can dream bigger. I have, like I do have an emergency savings now. I never had one before, right? Like what is emergency savings? Listen, I'm about to write this check and hope that my direct deposit go in before the check cash, right? Like, so we never had that before. And to be in a position, so I'm grateful to my mom for allowing us, one, she needed the support, but she didn't need it for 4 years, right? Like, so allowing us to, like stay in her space and kind of get ourselves in a position where when we do move on, we're actually living the life that we were destined to live, right? Like, because we weren't destined to live like the rat race that we were in. And I'm a young, so yes, I have a grandchild, right? Like I got a grandchild. So my oldest is 22. So I was a teenage mom, but I went to college. I graduated from college. But we have always been in a position, because when we never lived near home. I went to school 900 miles away from home and had a baby while I was in college. And I never moved back home. I went from college to Virginia and I had another baby. Right before we got to Virginia, we were married, we had another baby. And so all of a sudden we were these 18-year-old parents that didn't live near family. And then we were in Virginia where we thought we had made it, because my job told me they was paying me $40,000 a year. I was making $9 an hour. So I thought I made it, but we weren't smart. Like we didn't have good money management skills or any of that. And so, like, but for years we survived. And honestly, I always say it's God. God has kept us from, like, listen, it is so many times we would look and be like, how are we going to make it?
I get that. That's so good. So let's talk about working a full-time job. So Stephanie works a full-time job. And I remember when she realized she worked a full-time job. Ooh, she does like, yo, it works in secondary, not primary. So talk about, I don't like the word balance, but talk about implementing the business into your life when you have a full-time job so that you're able to build a full-time income and still maintain your full-time employment.
So in the beginning, I didn't use a calendar, right? Like, yeah, they tell you to do it in a launch pad. And it's like, okay, I don't need no calendar. I know how to control my time. I'm good. But what I was finding in the very beginning, my full-time job was coming secondary, and it works was, like I would be spending all day like messaging and on Facebook, and then it was like, oh wait, hold on, my job was starting to suffer, and I'm like, okay, I can't get in a position where they're like, Stephanie, your job is suffering, you're gonna need to leave. Like, no, I need to be in I need to be secure in that true double diamond pay for a few months before y'all can come and tell me that, right? So I started implementing my hourly calendar. But what I did, and Rachel told me this, she said, I want you to get up earlier. Like, get up earlier and start doing some of the things earlier so you don't feel like you have to do it all day. So get up and get on the 6 a.m. power hour. Now, I don't always make the power hour, but I still get up earlier and I still do the thing. And the reason why is because what is 6 a.m. to y'all, maybe 7 a.m. to us. So our day done already pretty much started in my house, and we getting kids off to school and different things like that. But I have been diligent with my time. And sometimes it's just a matter of really, like, literally, this is my hourly calendar. And so everything in orange is like, it works related stuff, right? Like, so it's like, okay, where can I fit in time that maybe outside of work, or do I not have a client appointment, or can I take my lunch and on my lunch respond to those messages that I sent in the morning, right? Like, so it's just being really, really diligent. And the one way that I implement every single day is going live, making my product. I'm gonna make coffee in the morning regardless. Why not go live and make my coffee and talk about it? That gives me a good opportunity to share what I'm doing, talk about what I'm doing, but then also showing people how they can work the business and work the business into their day. I'm going to do it. So I'm not doing anything that I wasn't going to do anyway. It's just a matter of showcasing what I'm doing, which makes it so much easier for people to connect with me. That's how I connected with Rachel. Smoothie time, I watched her every single day for smoothie time. Every day I watched her for smoothie time. I love seeing the kids. So listen, don't be, and Rachel said, like, don't be ashamed of your life, right? Like, don't be ashamed of where you are, because there is somebody that's going to connect with you based on your circumstance and where you are. And so that's just really, really being diligent with that. And I have the hourly calendar sitting in front of me. And sometimes I'll jump on a meeting on one computer while I'm still doing my work, but I need to listen so I can hear, right? Like, so I can hear, because sometimes I can't always go back and listen to the recording because I feel like, that's extra, like, oh, I don't have that time in my day. But we all get the same amount of hours in the day. It's a matter of telling your time where to go. And everybody has an hour. Everybody has an hour that they can spare in their business. And that was the one thing, is getting up earlier and just being committed to that time that I am, utilizing that time and sending my messages, doing my follow-ups, and not just scrolling.
Not just scrolling. That's so good. Okay, so I know people had this question because a lot of people saw it, but let's talk about the fact that Stephanie went diamond. Her husband was the emerald. Her son was the ruby. They ain't working. Okay. She working every account. But I'm gonna tell y'all this: to whom much is given, much is required. So when you are working every position, baby, you are working. Like you're working for that paycheck. So let's talk about this for people who desire to build their spouse account or have a child or a family member where they are working their account. Let's talk about the commitment and what that looks like. Let's talk about it.
So it's funny because I remember like having this conversation with you, Rachel, in the beginning, like, should I add my husband? Should I add, like, and I remember you saying, well, you should add your husband. But it was like, you said, I wouldn't go beyond that. Right? Like I wouldn't go beyond it. Like, don't go beyond that because then you're going to be working and you're going to be working because you're not going to have all those people that are working. And I was like, okay. So I added my husband and I waited until I was two. I had two distributors. And then when I needed that third to be charted for Ruby, I was like, okay, let me throw my husband in there. Well, then what happened was I was working, right? Like I was signing loyal customers. I was, like putting the people in the position. And so I kind of made the decision where it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to work, then I'm going to work and it's going to work for me. Right. Like, yeah, I'm going to help give a couple other people a paycheck, but I need all that. I need that money to come back to my house. Right. Like, and I remember it was times where, and this is what I will say. I ask, and before I make any move on my chart, I always consult with Rachel. I send it like, hey, I signed a loyal. Where should I put it? Like, and she'll say, send me your chart. Like, what does that look like? And so I'm like, okay, I don't make any moves because in the beginning, I would have made all the moves very selfishly, right? Like, oh, I signed all these, they all going on this leg. And is that really going to help me? It's not, like, so I remember the very first time I was like, well, should I put this person here or here? And she was like, no, put it there. And I was like, I kind of gave that face like, wait, hold on. No, like this, it benefit me more over here. But then again, like you reach out to your enroller because your enroller knows, like, right? Like they see the bigger picture. I have tunnel vision because I'm looking at my accounts, right? Like, because these three are my accounts. But it is very, very, very hard work. But the one thing that I did was I made sure to put them in positions where the work rolled up, right? Like, so it made sense to have them placed where they were placed. So if I was doing the work, and I did it for my son, like my son, I don't tell everybody this, my son he's not able to work his business because he got in trouble with the law, but he got a baby that he needs to take care of. And so in order for him to take care of that baby, some money needs to come in the house. So it was a decision that I made as a parent, like, hold up, wait a minute. When this baby needs something, I don't need it coming out of my paycheck. So let me go ahead and build him a paycheck and create some income for him. So that way, when his baby needs something and when he come home, he'll be in a position, right? Like positioning him when he comes home that he will be okay. Right? Like that he will be okay. So it is forward thinking. I like to call it generational wealth, like some people look at generational wealth in a different way. I'm like, you create it, right? Like, and so he's 22 and he was able to have an account. And I'm like, listen, let me think for him right now. So when it was kind of selfish thinking, but it was selfish, but in a way that I know that it's going to put him in a much different position because he's going to come home in an extreme disadvantage for a mistake that he made. So let me, at least if I can help give him some kind of advantage, let me help do that. So I knew that it was going to take a lot of work and I was just committed to doing what I needed to do in order to, and it was much bigger than a diamond, right? It was much bigger than a diamond.
It's so good. So give us a tip. So like what tip would you give to someone right now? They got a spouse on their account, but they barely $400 in it. What tip would you give to somebody who like seriously wants to build their own personal income?
So the biggest tip I would say is you just have to be committed to doing the tasks that are laid out. I was committed to messaging. I was committed to getting my host to post up. I knew that my network was going to dry up. I knew that I needed to reach out to other people. So when it's like, you need to get 10 hosts to post up, some days it's like, no, I need to get 15 because I'm working for, like, so sometimes it's like, no, you need to get 15 or 20 because you're working for 3 people, right? Like I'm working for 3 people. So I need to do 3 times the work, right? Like, it's like, I can't work as if I'm just working for myself anymore. I have to work like I'm working, at least I would say at minimum, for 2 accounts. And if I'm not working so I personally send 75 to 100 messages a day. Personally, that's me, right? Like, so where it's like, okay, send 25. Well, no, I need to triple that, and sometimes it's 100 and green light messages and sometimes it's just green light messages. Right? Like, but I personally send that many per day because I know that I'm working harder because there are multiple accounts. I can't work like I'm working by myself anymore because I'm building them, but then also building them out and reaching down into those distributors that are in their downlines to try to get them moving, right? Like, and to get them launched. Now, I will say that's probably the biggest area of opportunity that I have is launching distributors, right? Like I can do it. And I think because I can do it and I'm such a self-starter, it makes it difficult for me to understand someone that doesn't start. Right? Like that makes it difficult. And so I know that that's an area of opportunity for me because I'm like, wait, like I'm giving you everything, right? Like you just do like, let's just go and do it. And I don't, and that's something that's personal development for me, right? Like it's personal development for me.
That's so good. I'm just listening. That's good. We just talked about that last night, and that's real. Like, it is something that you have to get beyond to truly meet people where they are. But I believe that a lot of people come into this business and don't have full belief in themselves, and because of their lack of belief, they don't work as if it's already done, right? So if I know, like, just talk about a sports team, like a sports team. They come out, when a champion walks into the gym, like it's not an arrogance, but it's just like, bro, this is nothing. Like, this is what we do. There is this sense of what's the word? Confidence that it's already done. And I think for us, it's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right? So when you walk in that air of confidence and you even buy confidence from other people, knowing like, yo, I got you, like we doing this, like we're down, like somebody has your back in this business, like you're not alone. When you can walk in that space, it allows you to even be more confident with, I know I'm gonna give my all, and right. if God can put his super on my natural, it's already gonna happen. But I think a lot of people need to give themselves permission to build that confidence because they've been beat up so much in life.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that, right? Like so many times we're told that we're not able, or we can't, or we're not worthy, and let's be honest, most of the time we're speaking to our people, right? Like, and our people are, a lot of times we lack confidence in the wrong spaces, right? Like we have confidence in the wrong spaces. We don't believe that we can be great. We don't believe that we were made for more. We don't believe that we can dream bigger than we ever dreamed before. And as long as you do the work, and again, I know I'm not the best, but I know I'm going to give my best. Right? Like I'm going to give my best. So if I give my best, if this is the one thing, and this is why even on months where, because there were a couple months, even when that first month where it was like January when I was trying to go emerald and I didn't hit it, right? Like I was short, but I didn't beat myself up because it was like, okay, no, I did my best and I made improvements. And so it's when you know that you've given your all, when you know that you've done your best, and you're not trying to keep up with the Joneses, you're not trying to meet Rachel's best, or you're not trying to meet, like, I don't know, if somebody else's best is your best. Show up as your best self every single day, and then work and strive to get better, right? Like strive to get better. Like that's it. Like, okay, yeah, I showed up, but I know even me still, like I'm confident in what I can do, but I know that I can be better, right? Like I know that I can be better. And it's like, all right, what do you need to work on? And I do self-evaluation every day and every month, right? Like every month. When it's a short month, it's like, or like where I feel like me personally, I fell short that month. It's like, all right, what did you do and what didn't you do? What worked this month? What didn't work last month? Like, so it's always doing that self-evaluation and not looking at somebody else. I own my business and that's it. I own it. It's mine. It belongs to me. I'm not an employee. Like nobody tells me when to show up. I show up because it's mine. And I look at it like this. If I can give 9 hours to somebody else that's making them rich, I deserve and I owe myself at least two. At least two. I got it. You know why? Because I know these 2 hours that I work in this business will eventually, if I do the work, surpass what they ever will pay me in them 9 hours. So that, and it's just having that, knowing that, and knowing that sometimes you have to be broken in order to be built back up. Listen, you know how broken it feels to be like, okay, yeah, I'm in my mama's house, right? Like I'm in my mother's kitchen, but this is not my space. I had to try to create space that belongs to me. But it's the breakdown where God's like, all right, I need to bring you down. Now are you going to do the right thing? Right? Now are you going to do the right thing? Okay. Now here's the gifts that I had for you. Because you're ready. You're ready. You submitted, right? Like you submitted. You said, all right, I'm broken. It's yours. Now fix me. Like, help me. Like, help. I need your help. And we don't do that enough. We get broken and we sit there and we be broken. And it's the woe is me. Oh, my life is so bad and it's horrible. Okay. Well, what are you doing to fix it? Because if you're not doing anything to fix it, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? And that is just where, like, and we have, and I said I have a full time, we have multiple businesses. Like, this is not the only business that we have. Like we, like we have when I open my eyes in the morning and before I close them at night, like I have to on my calendar put time out. Like, no, you don't do anything. This is time you spend with your daughter. This is time you spend with your son, because otherwise it's easy for me, because I'm a go-getter, to just keep going. Like you just keep going. You just let's go. And not to the point of burnout. I've learned, like, not to the point of burnout, but to the point of just get it done. Just get it done. With my promotion last month, I owned it. I said, no, it's mine. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it regardless. I don't care who shows up. I'm going to show up every day. It doesn't matter who shows. I don't have time to make somebody work. I don't have some time to make somebody earn their shopping spree. I'm going to help them. I'm going to help them. But I can't stress about the fact that they're not showing up. Listen, and then doing that evaluation at the end of the month and being okay to say, okay, yeah, this person got me where I need it, but now let me move on. And I need to find new people, stay in phase one, and always be recruiting, always look for loyal customers. That's why the steps of success is there. Stay in phase one. You're always recruiting every time. I made the mistake of saying, yeah, I need to rebuild. Rachel was like, no, you need to build. Right? Like, you need to build. Like, you don't need to rebuild. You need to build. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. Like, I'm always building. Like, you're always building in order to keep growing. And that's the thing. I was ready to run for the next promotion, because we're always like, oh, I'm gonna run for that next promotion. I said, oh, I'm gonna go double diamond. I'm only 3 away from being charted double diamond. And it's like, but are you ready for that? No, you're not. Like, I'm not. And understanding and knowing that I wasn't ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready, because I need my diamond to be so solid that when I go double, I'm not worried about losing it. So stop chasing that. Stop chasing the promotions. That's a thriving diamond. And that was one of the first things that Rachel told me. When we build your diamond, it's going to be a thriving diamond. Not one that's going to fall apart. And then you worried about, you went from making $2,000 a month. Now you're making $400 a month.
That's good. I'm gonna jump in because I want to know. This is good. This is so good. You are. Yes, Lord. This is good. But I do want, before we end, I want to know, like, what are you most looking forward to? Or, you know what? Love that. I want to know, let's just say if you're a newbie on here, you're within your first 60 days, drop a 1 in the comments. I want to see how many newbies we have on here. If you have joined within the last 60 days, drop a 1 in the comments. Let's see if we have any new distributors on. Hey, yes. What's up, Tiffany? What's up, Lucius? Mimi. Yep. Okay. So we got some newbies on here. Okay. We got some newbies on here. So what is your number one tip to a new distributor who is coming in, and it would be nice if this business was successful, but I don't really know, because I didn't send 10 messages and I don't have my shopping spree yet. So what is your number one, like they're hungry. How about if you're new, or just everybody, I guess, because some of y'all be out here like, yes, me. But if you are new and you're hungry, because there's a difference between a person who's I just got started this new business. Like, if you're hungry, like, drop a 2 in the comments. If you're hungry, like, you're new and you're hungry, like, I want this business to work for me. I want to be successful. I want it to work. Y'all making these coins, like, show me how to get them. I'm committed. What's your one tip that you would give to them?
Show up every day, regardless. And show up with your receipts, right? Like, so if you feel like it's not working and I'm doing everything, go to your enroller and show your enroller your inbox. Show your enroller your messages. Show your enroller your host of posts, your 10 host of posts per day, right? Like, not 10 in the week, not 10 in the month, but 10 per day. And if 10 is too much, start with 5, right? Like, you start with 5, but it's really just going back and why, and asking yourself why. Why do you want it to work? Why are you hungry? Why do you need it to work? And if you can't answer those questions to the point where it gives you butterflies in your stomach, dig deeper, because your why is probably superficial.
Talk to the serial entrepreneur, though, like the person who may be doing something. Because at the end of the day, you have other businesses. Why commit to this one? Why give your all to this one to see this business come to fruition, instead in like put boundaries to where I'm doing my other businesses, they're thriving, but this business is going to get my full attention.
Well, because, and I can just speak for myself, and I don't necessarily consider myself a serial entrepreneur. We do have multiple businesses because we are entrepreneurs. And I look at it like this. I look at this business, and when I look at the compensation plan of this business.
No, I want you to speak to the people who are trying to figure it out. So not you.
Oh,
like if there's somebody on here is like doing, I don't know, DoorDash and doing what else people do, Uber, and you know what I'm saying? Like trying to figure out how to get these streams of income going, but it's really taking away from what they could really build here.
I would add, like, what are you willing to sacrifice in order to, one, free up more time? Because when you look at all of the businesses, and even when you say you work in 3 and 4 jobs, if the time that you're dedicating to all of those businesses, look at what, one, your investment may be, 2, what are you truly bringing home from that, and are you satisfied? Right. And sometimes it's that satisfaction. We are running for the money because we have to, where it's like, if you just maybe let go of DoorDash for a month and take that time that you were running DoorDash and carve out the time and work your business. or find that 2 hours and do the things, you may see like, okay, I can finally let this go and free up 10 hours in my week. Because I will tell you this, trying to chase multiple rabbits, you will be stretched way too thin. You have to have laser focus on something in order for it to be successful. And when you look at the opportunity that you have here and the financial blessings that can come if you just commit to the process, and it is a process. It's not going to happen tomorrow, right? Well, now you can get your shopping spree and you can earn $140 tomorrow. Like, like you can earn some cash, but you have to be committed to the process and stop chasing so many rabbits, right? Like in order to truly see success. And I knew that. Like, and it was, okay, I know where this business can take me. Let me commit to it. Like, and just commit to the process and seeing the fruits of my labor. Are you truly seeing the fruits of your labor in all of the multiple businesses that you're trying to work? And ask yourself, well, why do I have to have multiple businesses? Because each of those individual businesses, you're running too much. You're never gonna reach the pinnacle, right? Like of success in an opportunity because you haven't focused on it and you're not committed to the process.
That's good. Real quick before we hop off here, Lucius asked what if he's helping his wife with his business? And I would say personally, that should not take away from the time that you allot to this business. You get what I'm saying? So the real question is, are people using calendars and really being strategic with their time? Like you have to actually be strategic with it. And then, I'm sorry, hold on, I'm reading this question. I'm gonna ask this. We're at time. So this is gonna be the last question. All right. I'm gonna ask Miss Stephanie, our honoree of the night. It says, how do you, I'm assuming you're talking about yourself, but what encouragement would you give to a newbie who has sacrificed so much in life? They're afraid of sacrificing more right now because they're only 21 years old and trying to build a business.
So it's a matter, and it's funny, like when you say sacrifice, when I look at sacrifice, I look at what's the reward, right? Like if I make a sacrifice, if I sacrifice for this business, if I really give my all to this business, what is the reward that's going to come at the end of it, right? And if you believe in you believe in the process, and you believe in the business, that sacrifice, although it will be hard in the beginning, because it's not always easy to make those changes, but you know the reward that's going to come at the end is going to be so much greater, right? Like so much greater. And dive into personal development. Build your mind to believe in yourself, believe in you, and believe in the business and what it can do for you. And I would say stay plugged in. And if you are not on our Saturday morning calls, definitely get on those Saturday morning calls every week, because it really is about the mental. And sometimes when we make those sacrifices, it's hard because you don't see it right away, but those little bitty sacrifices that you're making every single day, every single week, every single month, eventually when you wake up, you're going to be like, wow, how did I get here? Right? Like, and it's going to be, the reward is so much greater.
That's good. All right, y'all, we gonna hop off of here. Stephanie actually gonna pray us out, and we're gonna get off here. Happy, what's today? Tuesday. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. So, Father God, we come to you humbly with our heads bowed. We just thank you for all of the blessings that you have bestowed upon everyone on this team, everyone on that is not on this call, but just knowing that someone like that, someone received the message tonight that they know that their lives can be greater. We ask that you give them the strength. We ask that you give them the wisdom. We ask that you give them the belief in themselves in this opportunity. I'm asking that you just cover our leadership, Lord. I ask that you just keep Rachel and Breon. They sacrifice so much for this team to make sure that we are in a space where we can receive all of the blessings that you are going to rain down on us in this team. We just come to you humbly, and thank you for all the blessings that we're receiving. In Jesus' name, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Good night, everyone. I'm gonna end it and then you can hop back on the power hour. Bye, y'all. Oh, power hour is at 9. Sorry, maybe I'm ahead of myself.